Yeah, so we're actually at the start of the hour, so we should jump in. I'll go ahead and give everybody an overview of kind of what the Rimac, car configurator was, what was really special about it. So if you haven't seen it already, like Wendy was saying, if you go actually out on our website, you can run it live right now. And this is actually going to be not running on your local PC, right? This is up in our cloud. We've got a ton of GPUs all over the world that you can run this live from. This was a project that was done very quickly, straight from the CAD data that was provided by Rimac. And if you're not familiar with the car, it's a very, very expensive car. It's a beautiful, all-electric hypercar. You should really go watch some videos on it. The technology, the performance, really everything about it is, about as next-gen as it can come, right? And so we thought that was just a great partner to show off what we consider to be the next gen of graphics and technology when it comes to Omniverse and streaming and everything, everything cloud. So the Nevera car configurator has a couple really special things to it that we would like to talk about today. First, it is a completely ray traced car configurator. So top to bottom, everything is ray tracing. It actually has two modes. One is the standard ray tracing model that you'll see in Omniverse, which is called real-time RTX. That model is what when you first jump into the car configurator, that's the experience that you're greeted with. But then we actually have a photo mode, which will go to path tracing. Now, path tracing is what you're going to think of traditionally when you're looking at movies or offline rendered film or TV commercials. So we're basically able to give you the same quality that you would see, in a commercial, right? Most car configurators aren't going to be able to give you that quality real time. They're either going to be done with pre-rendered. So a real common car configurator thing that you may have seen if you've gone and looked out there is it's basically like Photoshop layers, right? You're going to say, hey, I want blue, hey, I want green, and it's going to just like layer an image and layer an image and layer an image to give you the configuration that you're looking for. Since this is completely real time and it's completely path traced, you can pick whatever angle you want, whatever camera you want, and with your configuration and get it live. So now we're starting to kind of unravel that limitations that you may have seen in previous configurators. So that the path tracing is really, really special. I remember the first time that the guys on the call here on the stream. I guess we're not on a call. We're on a stream. When they first started showing me the images of it in path tracing, I'm like, man, it's real, right? And that's the goal, right? Is that you want to be able to see what you're going to buy, especially with something like a $2 million hypercar. You don't want an approximation. You want this to be as close to ground truth and reality. You want the paints to look like how they're really going to look. You want the leather or the Alcantara. You want it all to be real. So that's the one really cool thing. It's live. It's on the cloud. It's running on your Chromebook or something, right? Like you don't need locally to have this big beefy PC to run that level of quality. But the other kind of cool thing about this is it all built on what we would call stock Omniverse, right? So this experience was built with Omniverse Create 2022.2 using a mixture of Action Graph and Python script nodes. So everything that was done, there was no special version of Kit or Create or anything like that. It's what you can go get on the Omniverse launcher and download and rock and roll today, including rendering, right? So it's rendering and the actual animation and setup of it was all done, out of the box, for lack of a better term. The final kind of note I wanted to kick us off with is that this configurator it has spawned like a larger project, right? So we have Andy Morris who's not on the call because he's like, I don't know, he's in like the UK or something, sometime where he's probably sleeping or I don't know, drinking his tea. Who knows what he's doing right now? But he's out there talking with a lot of different people. But we're building a full set of configuration templates and new tools based on what we learned building the Nevera configurator. So, hopefully check in with us with a few months. We'll probably do another stream on that endeavor, all the special configuration tools, and kind of everything to make your configuration. I mean, this example is a car. It's a freaking awesome car. But if you need a living room configurator, right? Like these are all things that people will do in the future in the cloud on edge devices, right? And that's the future that a lot of us see, and this is one of those steps in that direction. So now that I've monologued on for about 5 minutes, and everybody's asleep. Let's see who's the first person we're gonna pop over to. Dave, are you the maestro or is it Josh?
We're gonna go to Josh.
Josh.
Hello.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Take it away.
Thank you, Dane. Thanks for the intro. Hey, everybody. I'm art director over here at NVIDIA. This is my first live stream, so I'm super excited to be here talking with you all. Thank you. I got a lot of exciting stuff to talk with you. I know we're a little limited on time, so I'll try to get through it pretty quickly. And I hope to engage with you all afterwards in whatever ways we can to answer any questions or share additional materials.
So, Josh, if I can hop in real fast. So today we're going to be talking about, dovetailing on your art intro, we're going to be talking about how we put together our part of the demo, which is the Rimacs getting out and the garage scene and some of the cloth and simulation, some of the material work that we did there, but we're not covering the 3D configurator and how we put that together. And there's another beautiful shot that Kevin Margot's team did that we're not talking about. We're just talking about what our team did this round. We could fill 4 hours worth talking about the whole thing, but
absolutely,
just to set expectations for everybody.
Yes, and there's I'll jump into two things. We'll do a quick overview of some folder structure that our peer Max was going to walk through you guys with, and he had some materials prepared for that. He is out sick today. Poor guy. His kid got sick, so he's feeling better, but not quite on the complete road to recovery. So I'll intro a little bit of what that was, and then I'll jump into how we created some of the stages for the videos that we put together and released. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And, the importance of folder structure cannot be understated. If you're going to take on a project that's interactive, or you're going to take on a project that is more of a linear, film or commercial type project, you really want to be organized at the get-go so that everybody can kind of jump in and collaborate together. And work pretty effectively with each other. So I'll give you a quick look at how we set up our sort of linear film project that we, rendered out the sequences of our frames. So here I am sharing Create. You should be able to see sort of a simple template environment with just a camera inside. And this is up on our Nucleus cloud server, which is an amazing sort of OV project we got that lets us all work collaboratively up on the cloud and share our files and work in each other's content pretty seamlessly. And so at the top of our folder structure we have what's called a global setup USD, and all that's in the global setup USD is just basically sort of the armature of how we want our scopes and transforms to sort of work within the project, so that as we create additional layers and the project goes deeper into the details, it inherits everything from the topmost file. So that way, any change we make at the global setup stage, everybody would get that at their shot stage. And so the way we look at it is you start with your global setup, then you go into your sequence, and then you go into your shot. So those are the three sort of stacks of our folder structure. And then kind of living off to the side of it is our source folder. So our source folder has all of our textures, our materials, our meshes, our animation, everything goes in there. And you can kind of see a little peek of that down here in our content browser. We've got the global setup file. And if I was just to sort of drive into a sort of template for what our drive sequence was, we've got the sequence drive set up. And if I give that a quick open, you can see I brought in the global setup as a layer, and so I've actually inherited all of the scopes and transforms from that original layer, so I don't need to go recreate any of that as I make different sequences. And then, I have got my shot folder, and there I would have a shot file USD that would bring in my sequence USD layer, which would also bring in my global setup layer. And this would create a nice, clean layer setup so that we could all work within these individual files at separate times. And when we save our work, put them into checkpoints, and our collaborators can all kind of get them that way. And here you can kind of see where our source file is. And it's worth noting that we also make a folder structure for sublayers. As you make these different layers between global setup, sequence, and shots, often there's sort of a accoutrement of individual sublayers that maybe will handle the lighting or maybe the materials or the textures, and we sort of collapse them into there to not cloud up the folder structure. So that's a quick peek of a nice clean folder structure utilizing USD layers in Omniverse Create. So I'm going to unshare my screen and jump over to some stills I pushed out before the meeting. Now, after we go through a couple of these, I'll jump into Create and kind of walk you through how I set up one of the example things in a material graph. So let me go ahead and share again. So I'm actually going to be showing a couple different pieces of content. Some of the content ended up going to the configurator. Some of the content went into sort of our trailer footage. I think it's all really useful and exciting stuff, so I thought to share just sort of a mix of it and kind of show you some of the things that Create is really powerful at doing and certainly has impressed me in my new hire time here. So here you can kind of see just a simple substance designer setup where I have two masks. One is sort of like just a clear sort of disk, and then I'm just multiplying some noise against that. And I'm using this to sort of create the template of a set of modules that I can scatter around in the environment to build out my scene. And I'm just going to skip over real quick to our key visual that we put out for this. You might have seen this floating around. But this entire environment is built out of these sort of little disc-shaped sort of pancake modules that are all 3 million plus polygons each. So very high density, very high polygon, and working with them in Create was like a hot knife through butter. It was just super smooth. I'm here working on my workstation, and I never felt a slowdown, and it was just super fun to be working with photogrammetry sort of density content, super high quality, and just really getting into the flow and placing modules around and having fun with it. And so the way I went ahead and created these is, as I said, I created this quick sort of mask, and I'm going to use this as sort of a broad displacement mask for how high I want my displaced surface to be. So that I can kind of position them and sort of wedge them into each other seamlessly. And here in Blender, you can kind of see where I've got a nice high frequency tiling photogrammetry texture. This one I grabbed off of Substance Source, and it's displacing all the cool little rocks and stones and dirt and what have you. And then that's being mixed against that sort of broader mask that I created in Substance Designer. And that gives me a nice shape that I can really position into each other's without getting sort of really bad noticeable seams. And here you can kind of see a close-up of some of that detail that's going off into Create. And in here in Create, this is just an example of one of the modules that I brought in. I exported the mesh out of Blender really painlessly thanks to our export tools add-on, and I assigned a Omniverse material to it, and really quickly and easily I wrote this quick graph where I brought in my normal map, roughness map, and albedo map and hooked them into the shader and just added a flow2 constant to match the tiling right up with what I was doing in Blender, and that was super simple. And from here, I basically saved this off as a USD, and that gave me a module that I could then bring into my environment an instance so that I'm not paying for that memory over and over again, and I'm making good advantage of the GPU. And so thus you could just imagine this as like thousands of disks shaped modules that sort of compose this environment. And that's how I built everything. It was really, really fun bringing it to Create. And then another setup that I did, and you can kind of see this showcased in the video where we have the Rimac doing the donuts at night with the sort of palm trees and Dave's killer flow of VFX. It basically, this is a different sort of setup for creating a terrain environment, where this is just actually a simple sort of plane with a little bit of vertex offset just to give it some irregularity. And everything is generated using a blend map in Material Graph, where I'm driving different layers of the material through different colors of an RGB8 texture. So you can see the red on the RGB mask is actually driving the white white paint strips on the asphalt, and I've got like green that's bringing me nice road, wear, like from the rubber of the tires, and different layers for oil stains where the cars have parked and they're, the AC drips down. And you can kind of see it's just all kind of compositive in there. That's just one mesh with one material on it. So it's a different way to do something that's, complex, but it's actually relatively painless and easy to do and create. So I was super excited working on this content. And here you can kind of see an example of this graph. I'd say the graph has a lot of detail, but it's not really complex. I think anybody who's here watching this can totally do this themselves at home on their workstation. We've got a lot of great documentation online, and a lot of this translates well between Blender and Create in terms of how a shader is sort of structured and set up. And then another example I wanted to show was a sort of a different environment where we really wanted to show off the car in sort of a white cyc environment, which is like your typical photo studio environment where there's a nice sort of white cloth sort of draped back behind the car to get really nice bounce lighting, and the photographers and cameramen can set up their lights in really specific ways and get nice beauty renders. And so in this environment, what's kind of interesting about it is we actually wanted to shine a large light down onto the car. But we wanted to sort of be in a dome, so we could really move the camera around from any angle, and we wanted to be this sort of continuous environment where you're always inside of the dome and there's always a light coming down into the car. But we didn't want the lighting necessarily to be bouncing back into the background, sort of like we wanted to composite the car to the background, but we still wanted nice shadows and lighting under the car. So for this material, we actually are blending from a lit shader set of instructions in the foreground, so that you get this nice shading of the sort of PBR material surface with the shadows being projected under the car. And then we actually use another blend map to lerp, linear interpolate to the background where it becomes unlit, and it actually becomes quite like a HDRI image that is then being projected back onto the car. And so if I'm going to unshare my screen so I can kind of jump into Create and walk you through a little bit of how that's set up. I'm going to stop streaming and bring up that Create. Okay, you should see what I'm seeing here.
Got it.
Cool. And this is in PT mode, and you can see how fast it's just flying through frames. Super fun to see that. Let me just go ahead and open the Material Graph. And here you can see I've got my base BSDF sort of shader, what have you. This is where I'm hooking up my base color, my normal, and my roughness values. And there I'm mixing it. I'm blending it with another shader, which is called a diffuse shader, and you can quickly search for that at home if you'd like, just by typing diffuse, and you can grab this. And basically what this is doing is it's letting me taking this white cyc tiling material that's down here on the ground, and this is probably a little small, so you're probably not seeing some of the detail down there, but it has these tiling textures on it. And I'm mixing it with a completely unlit material, which is set to black. So that way it has basically no values here in the background. And then I'm mixing that with an add emissive shader, and I'm driving that through an HDRI image that I created in Substance Designer. And you can do this in a lot of different packages. You could do it in, I think there's a Photo Light Studio, I think is the name of it. I might be saying that wrong. But you can generate these HDRIs. It could be a real image that you took on a camera that you captured yourself and stitched together, or generating those packages. And I'm sort of projecting that back onto the background. And here I am just sending it out to my final output. And that gives me a nice lighting and shading, but at no point do I get sort of any shadow occlusion from sort of the top of this dome coming down for my sunlight, which is lighting the environment. So that's a quick look at some of the content that I prepared for both the car config and our teaser. So super excited to show that to you. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. And I think we go from here to was it
Ro? Yep, that's amazing work, Josh. Thanks. I didn't know half of that stuff, so it's fun for me to learn too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Great stuff.
And now from how the environment was created to how we did materials and textures on the car. And Rogelio is a super accomplished artist and amazing. And we're actually working on a project now that he's doing some. Can't talk about it much, but it's freaking cool.
It's literally right behind you.
Oh,
it's right behind us, right here.
Yeah, but he was able to whip up like a bunch of storyboards, super quick, super awesome, high quality. Anyway, I'm just super impressed. Anyway, take it away, Ro.
Sweet. So I'm Rogelio. Everybody calls me Ro. So I'm pretty much done materials for a good bit of my career now. I have worked as an environment artist. My title here is environment lead, but I'm kind of a generalist. If anybody really knows what I do, I'm very basically a generalist at this point. But I do concentrate on materials. That's kind of my jam. I've been working with Substance Designer, particularly for probably around 6 years, something like that. And it's an amazing tool. I basically started at its infancy, and it just grew and exploded into what it is now. So yeah, props to the ex-company Algorithmic, who now is Adobe, and those people who have developed that tool are amazing. They've always been very close with the community, and that's what we intend to do here as well. Be very close with the community. So yeah, let me share for some screenshots. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm still new to Discord. Go live. So I worked on mainly the vehicle. So there's a Rimac vehicle that we did for a Nevera. And it's an electric supercar, as Dane mentioned. And basically, we got the CAD data that was super dense, but we could literally probably print it if we wanted to. And basically, we got the CAD data. We have to optimize it to put it into Create. And within that, we did that pass, and within that, we started doing material setups. So anywhere from carbon fiber, glass, car paints, and any kind of metals, plastics, etc. From the interiors, the rims, the tires, all that kind of stuff. We had to look very closely at the reference that we were provided, and also the ones we can find online, and also compare with other materials from other cars to try to get as close as possible to something that is realistic for this kind of car. Being that I'm a material artist, I also like to kind of push the CG a little bit. In this case, we always want to have a situation where, in this case for Rimac, it is a car company, and most car companies, if you've seen advertisements, they're like pristinely clean. I'm slightly against that because I like the little bit of dust in there. So I added a tiny bit of realism with dust and stuff like that, but it's very subtle. Yeah, so lights on the back and everything, and all these are triggered within the configuration, so you can actually have the lights turn on and off, etc.
Are these the renders or the photo reference?
These are the renders.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I should have mentioned them. Yeah, these are the ray trace renders in Create, and honestly, with a good PC, we have amazing PCs here, and amazing cards, obviously. It takes only like 10 seconds, 20 seconds to get a really high res, beautiful render like this. And this background is actually just one that comes already stock in Create. And the only thing we did was put a plane and render it out, and it looks as beautiful. I didn't really need to do much besides some color grading in Photoshop. And that's what you get from the package. I'm relatively new here. I've been, I think, only like 4 to 5 months, maybe a little bit more. And I'm extremely impressed with what Create provides when it comes to the rendering and material, quality look. So in the interiors, you can see all the leathers. All these are done in Substance Designer. When made the graphs in there, I'll show you a little bit of that in a bit. And then some more interior shots. You see some carbon fibers and plastics, all kinds of different materials, from even the emissives, from the the dials.
That's my favorite shot. That interior
Yeah.
scene, the wide shot.
I love it too.
Beautiful.
And the carbon fiber, oh boy. Carbon fiber is hard. It's such a simple, deceptively simple material, but to get it right, to render on both real time and path tracing it's pretty hard to get it right. And so it involved a lot of tweaking until we got it to where we felt it was pretty strong for the release. Some carpets, which are not part of Nevera. That's kind of my touch. So we did some carpets on the bottom. Yeah, so there's some materials. And then here's some material, spheres, where it shows all the materials. That's kind of just a cloth set. And then I have another kind of like cloth set of materials and some tires, rubbers. We are actually getting all these materials, packaged up, and hopefully soon we can release them for use. So we're in the process of this. So a lot of them, you'll receive, a lot of metal materials, the carbon fibers, the reflectors, the car paints, etc., plastics, etc., from all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let me jump into Create, and I'll probably go real time for now. You'll see a little bit of difference from the view there, but basically, yeah, there's all the materials laid out in there. And let me kind of zoom in and change the path trace. Yeah, that's great.
And you have the denoiser off.
The what?
You have the denoiser off, which is why we're seeing the grain.
Yeah, I must have the denoiser off. Let me change that.
Or oh, you have to go into path trace mode render.
Yeah.
So that render drop down, yeah. And then,
well,
denoising is on. If you expand that, you must have what does that say? Well, does that say 0 point something? That.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you change that to like a higher value, 0.8 or something, then it'll be more denoiser or less denoiser.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't know. I didn't even know I touched that. For some reason, I did that. Either way, yeah, I think it's because of streaming. This is a whole lot quicker without the streaming. But either way, these are the leathers. One thing I wanted to point out on the leathers themselves is that I do have a very simple graph for the materials themselves. So if I go here, right click, open the MDL material, you'll basically see the the basic kind of material setup in there. And what I have here is just a constant color, which is the leather in there. And I also have what I call like micro leather blend mask. And that helps with a kind of adding extra tonal color to it. It's hard to see here because it's very slight. And then from that, it actually has some extra normal map information that acts kind of like a warbling effect to the whole leather and other materials, just so it's not exactly perfectly straight. And those are kind of just small touches there on the materials themselves. Yeah, the car is set up in here with all the materials are in there. And I believe we're going to eventually be able to share some of this. We'll have to see how we end up doing that, though. And yeah, going back to substance, particularly with the leather material, I'll show you this leather material. It's a very simple material. It's basically just done with it's a very simple graph. It just has, the outputs, albedo, normal, roughness, etc. But the majority of the graph, how it was done, it was just really started with just cells, noise, and I usually don't know how to pronounce it, Vernoinian fractal noise. And basically it's just putting different blurs and slope blurs to kind of get different shaping in there, and eventually it's just blending in more stacks of that kind of layering with warping. And it's hard to see here probably because it's very light for the height map. And it starts getting more detail, adding more kind of like line details to it to really create this kind of rich leather material in there. And basically all the graphs are similar in design, just very simple blends, warps, and just outputting different noises to kind of get the layering and the general feel of everything. Yep, that's basically what I wanted to show. I mean, again, when it comes to substance, we have a substance source, which is an amazing source. It has helped us out immensely as well to learn from and be able to grab resources from it for our use. The materials are done for Rimac and were mostly done in house, so it's going to be. We'll release them with the graphs. They will be probably way more organized. I'll add frames, etc., and make sure they're annotated so you know what's going on for the graph. And that way, it's besides it's a resource, it's also a learning initiative.
Here's a quick question: are the stitches in the interior mapped, or are they geometry?
They are completely geometry. So let me zoom into those beautiful stitches. So those beautiful stitches were done by amazing artist Dimitri. I forget his last name. Somebody can help me out with that. But these were done in Houdini, and basically he made an HDA with them to add initial. So we had the initial mesh, but you could see that it has like a little crevice in the middle, right? So he added the curves, and then once those curves were generated, he generated the full effect of it kind of flushing down, and then actually adding all the stitches in. And it's just an amazing tool that he's I think he's still building it to make it like solid, and I think he intends to release it at some point as well for everybody. So it's going to be a really great HDA for stitches. You can use it for cars, vehicles, whatever, probably even characters. So that'll be an interesting little tool.
And I assume he used the Houdini connector to push it out to Omniverse.
I actually do not know. I would assume he did do it.
Let's just say yes.
Let's just say yes, because it is possible. and he is very actively working with it, and he's been testing.
I think that is a yes, because I said you better try it.
So I'm pretty sure it's a yes. But yeah, and again, Dimitri, amazing, super dedicated artist here, doing some amazing Houdini stuff, and about to do some amazing Houdini stuff on the project that you see back here. So
yeah.
And that's coming up eventually. It's gonna take a little bit to sure, but we'll get it going.
There's another question about how much was CAD derived versus modeled afterwards. Is there something that was surprising to you that you found in the CAD model that you were expecting to have to model separately?
Oh, there's definitely a lot of surprises with CAD models. So I mean, CAD models are great because they're basically the real thing. But when it comes to getting in and transferring it over, even though we were able to do a pretty good transfer of, I think we did it mostly in Max. Then it was brought to Maya and other programs because we have other artists kind of cleaning it out. There were certainly some areas where we basically had to remodel it. In particular, when it got to some gnarly bits. Let's see if I can hide this one. Oh, whoops, I got the wrong one.
We might want to save this for the end because I think we're going to be pushing time here.
So the lights, now you can see them clearly. The lights, the interior structure was way too dense, way too complex for us to optimize through our separate tools. We also use ZBrush occasionally to optimize. So we found some interesting techniques there. This particular piece needed to be hand authored afterwards. For the most part, we need to go in and rework it. Some of the rims and some of the backlights. But yeah, working with CAD is definitely pretty hard. Although, we have been talking about seeing how Houdini does that work. So we might look into that, and if we find any good data for that, wins, then we will definitely share.
So there is some things that the original export of this was through our alias connector, like for some of this data. We've actually learned a lot from this exercise, and you'll actually see some of these improvements go directly into the alias connector. But a lot of issues that you're going to run into is like the native tessellation from alias, because alias has a tessellator inside of it when you export. So we've been developing and generating some cleanup tools based on the limitations of the alias tessellator. So yeah, the end goal is no friction, right? We're probably at 90% of that goal, and we're working pretty hard to get rid of the last 10 on the connector side.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thanks, bro. That's really great.
Awesome stuff, man. Great.
All right, so we transition from the visual now into the simulated world, and Christian's going to show us the amazing work he did on the cloth sim for the opening garage sequence where you see the cloth being pulled over the Rimac. Christian handled that part of the work, so
yeah,
take it away, buddy.
Yeah. So I'm a technical artist. I've been doing a lot of Python and pipeline tools, and this is the first time in a while that I'm getting back into production. It's something that I always love doing. I've been transitioning kind of more and more, doing more and more programming, and I was working on the Substance Painter connector, and I was working a lot on the Houdini connector, and I'm going to share my screen here. So my first stop, let's see here. Screens. Share the whole thing. There we go. Can you see that?
Got it.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, my first stop was the physics demo scenes, when just kind of trying to figure out And I also found one of these live streams where they're kind of updating the cloth work. So there's an awesome little scene here called Particle Cloth. And when you load that up, you can sort of see the bare necessities of getting this going. So let's see here. So that's a really nice kind of behavior there. So to kind of get cloth up and running, one of the first mistakes I did was creating primitives and then hoping to get to the resolution. But if I go into wireframe here, you can see there's a lot of verts to work with cloths, which is what you want. So if you completely new to create and just go and create a plane, you don't really get a lot of. You can subdivide, I guess, but I think this is a good trick here, just going into the defaults. And then once you have done this once, setting like a higher resolution, it'll kind of take that and just use that. And from here, you right click on the cloth or on the mesh and just convert the, you add physics particle cloth. Now we have particle cloth going. We already have a physics plane on the bottom. One important thing to note is that we want to add another component that's kind of easy to forget, which is the mass. So now you have pretty much everything. So let me go back to shaded mode here. Give this some rotation. So now we have our physics material. Basically, if we assign the same material as what this has, this is connected to the physics material. We now get a kind of similar behavior here. We just copy some of the settings over. And now, so basically that's kind of where you get the cloth going. And then to create collisions, I'm going to bring up the car here, but I'm just going to go basic. Just run through the basics first. So if you do like a large sphere here on the bottom, you basically just right click on the sphere and add a collider. So now these objects will collide with it. And the second thing that the other thing that we really wanted to do was, we wanted to create a plane over the car and then simulate the draping down, and then we wanted to start pulling on it. So we can create meshes and just intersect them with the cloth here and add them as colliders. There's like a add create physics. Let's see where it is. I always get mixed up, but actually we want to create a new one. Add physics collider. So once you have the collider on there, now you can select both of them and just say add physics, create physics, attachment. Attachment. Yeah. So now as we play, that's kind of root. So now we can just set keyframes on this. So I kind of keyframed the attachments down to the ground with the cloth, and then we can just start pulling it. So I'm just going to close this scene, free up some memory because I have more scenes open here. So here is the Rimac, and this is the actually simulated scene. And you can get the great. Of course, this is going to happen since we're live. The physics breaks.
Murphy.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Well, you had like multiple up at once.
Yes, I did. 3.
Madman.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a madman.
Oh, there's another one.
Here's the other one. And
got a bunch of extras.
And this is the really, really heavy one, because this one is where we baked it down. So when we wanted to render it on the farm, we didn't want like any surprises with the physics. You get, a slightly random result every time you hit play there. So with this one, the cloth is baked down to keyframes. So it becomes a very, very heavy scene, but it's predictable. Well, we can now take a look at the wireframe.
Jeez.
It looks like it's smooth shaded to begin with.
Well, and that car itself is like 60 million polys, right? So what's your cloth?
Yes, the cloth is pretty dense as well. It does subdivide it here. We did turn on subdivisions just to get it kind of smooth. And the beautiful thing too with when it's baked down, the performance is just kind of crazy. It's amazing that it's rendering all this stuff so smoothly. You just zip around. Yeah, wow. Super fun to play with all the different cloth attributes. The iteration speed is fun. You can experiment quickly. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So if I am going to open that other one, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the custom. We had a custom collision. Basically brought in the car into Houdini and created like some watertight meshes for the collision. And once I got the cloth kind of stable and the look was good, all I did to kind of get the simulation closer to the car is I was just tweaking the collision. Because I was kind of pushing the deadline, and that was the safest thing to do. And there's some wind blowing down to create this. It looks
gorgeous.
We got to get you working on content all the time, Christian. It's so cool watching you just jump in. You got right into the tools, and you got that in like a couple weeks, and you were a new hire. You just started working here. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's awesome watching that come together.
Yeah, the first time I saw this, I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So another really cool thing is I could leverage Houdini and bring in the bake data. So I had this open also, which might be some memory. But then you basically take the simulation in, and then this emulates the subdivision. It matched perfectly. We can now group the boundaries of the cloth mesh, and then convert it into a line, and then fix the point order, so we get the correct point order going around this thing, and then we can polywire this with a UV, and then we get a here like a matching little lip to the cloth. I even added some noise to it, but yeah. So then I would take this into our LOPS, our USD context, and write it back out, and then that cloth lip could be added then as another reference layer that's simulated along with the cloth. So that was like a second pass to it. It worked out nicely. Let me see if I can just open the sim here. We can take a look at the collision meshes.
And you baked it in Houdini?
I baked it in Create.
Oh, okay.
Using a Python script that was provided by the Fixes guide. I'm not sure if we have released that. Should look into that, because that was definitely handy going from simulation to bake. All right, let's see if we can push this without breaking the physics. Okay, yeah. So this is the simulation speed. As I'm zipping around and zooming around this.
It's really neat how well it conforms to the
to
the body of the car.
And that wind creating ripples.
Those wind
so
effects.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's all real time what we're watching right now?
Yes, this is real time simulation.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's crazy, yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's
So
gorgeous.
so the Rimac main, if I just hide that real quick, I also did a oh yeah.
Okay, you got 1 minute, buddy.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. Be quick.
We can
There's a
go
Rimac
over.
main.
This is pretty cool.
So this is the collision, one of the collision meshes. If we go into wireframe here, it's substantially lower. And then I separated out the trickiest part was the rear view mirror. So I just did like a separate mesh there for those. And you can see it's kind of a little bit funky looking, but that was kind of to guide the cloth, not get it snagging, you know.
Gotcha.
Pretty painless.
Also, yeah. No, I mean, yes. Yeah, it's the most stable cloth. I mean, I messed around a little bit with the Maya one and the Vellum in Houdini, and this is just really, really rock solid. It's super fun to work with. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, well, we saved the last for last, and that's going to be me. All right, so I'm going to talk about the car. I'm going to talk about first the physics vehicle.
We've been talking about the car a lot.
Yeah. Talk about the physics vehicle, rigging it up, driving it, and sort of the journey there, and then creating the flow and things like that. And I didn't realize, I'm not going to do this live or anything, but I have PowerPoint. Sweet. All right, so super easy. Creating your physics vehicle. You just bring in your vehicle, make sure your each object is separated out, the wheels and the chassis specifically. And I guess I could do it here, can I? All right, Dane. Fine.
I mean, that's a great looking car right there.
I mean, think about it. Yes. Okay, not that. And turn that off. And then turn that off. All right, so this familiar looking vehicle here.
Everybody had no idea he was going to use the Halo thing, so it's just that NDA, don't come after me.
Well, I don't know if it's exactly the Halo thing, but anyway, it's all rigged up with the physics vehicle, and I can drive it, and you can see that.
Doing sound effects for you.
Thank you. Well, come back. Yeah, and so I'm driving this.
Good driving.
I'm driving this with my my PS4 controller. Anyway, super easy to set that up. You just bring in your vehicle and then come up to your create and physics and vehicle wizard there, brings up the vehicle wizard, and then from there it's super easy. You just select your chassis, hit scan, make sure you set the right forward axis, and it's going to get the bounding box, and it's going to create that basically the block mesh and do the massing for the chassis, and then click next, and then just select each one of your tires, and think of this as top down looking at the car. So this is front left, front right, rear right. And then just select each one, click, 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 click. And if you want all-wheel drive, you select this driven on the rear, and you'll get that. And then you just select create, and that's when you have that. That's where you see that block thing that came up, and you just go ahead and is that it? Oh, render, yeah. And then you just hide them all, and then drive around like a madman. It's really pretty cool.
Did you just take 2 minutes to make a car drivable? That's incredible.
Yeah.
When did we add this? I didn't know about this.
Yeah. It's
I fear I will watch this stream and then subsequently not get any work done.
Oh, I'm gonna make my own vehicle.
So from there, so for this particular demo, we had to go through some steps of how we get the vehicle in, and the physics vehicle was great, but it was a bit painful to bake it out. I can definitely make a tutorial on that later, but I'm not going to show you. So what I wound up doing was I used physics vehicle to get all my kind of the motion that I wanted and what I wanted it to do, namely drive in circles, but it was really fun to play with that. But what I wound up doing was going back to 3ds Max and using there's a plugin for Max called MagCar, and it does really good vehicle simulation as well. So I just used that, rigged up the Rimac, baked it out, and so this is basically there were about 1,000 iterations of this, and had some really fun aggressive ones, but we just decided to go with this because it was cool. And what's also cool is that we also got the splines from the rear tires that Terry Mosier, who is not on the call but may be watching, converted to a skid mark in Maya, and exported that out. So we used all kinds of tools for this. Max Maya, used the connectors, Houdini, Substance. It was really pretty great. So once that was done, I pushed out that animation. I pushed out the rig first, and then I pushed out the animation, and I just stacked those layers on top of each other and bring over. Oh yeah, what do I want to do? Oh, not yet. This. All right. So once I had that done, back out here. I just for the actual flow sim, all I needed was an approximation of the chassis, just something to block the flow, and then I used these colliders, just simple sphere shapes that I squashed down and put a collider on each one and parented them to each wheel. So I have a very easily readable diagram here. So we have the flow emitters are actually sitting right in front of the of these colliders, and they're just pushing the smoke out, and then the colliders pick them up and spin them around, and then it plays with the animation. So I'll show you that here. So I press play, and this is all happening real time, of course.
That's so cool.
It's gorgeous.
And then you can see how the chassis collides. I have it hidden because it's really ugly. But yeah, and it just keeps playing. And then, I can go through and play with the different flow settings under Flow Simulate. Advection, there's a lot of stuff happening here under advection that you want to play with. You can play with your cell size and all that. Really important also is to make sure that in your render settings, under Common, make sure you have flow enabled, and then do all of your real-time flows there, and even do your path tracing, because you're going to want to see it in path trace mode too. Let's see what happens if I do that. Oh, I'm not going to do it while it's running because we're on a live stream, and nothing can go wrong, right? All right, so this is now path trace mode, running in real time, which is pretty cool. And
yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
It's funny because we did a demo like this about 12 years ago at NVIDIA. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was like a little car and it did a little burnout. And to see this running real time now, 10, 12 years later, is just absolutely incredible. The quality of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I can't imagine.
We were doing like 50,000 like white blobby particles, right? Like, oh, it looks like smoke, and then you have this where it's like, this looks like smoke.
Totally. And all the collisions it's colliding.
Yeah. You'd actually get an understanding of the car even though it's not there, which is
totally, man. So but this doesn't do us any good unless we can bake it out. So the next step in this process was we wanted to bake all this out to VDBs, which is actually super easy. And huge props to Andrew Riedmeyer, who helped me along the journey here, getting this all set up. He's our resident flow guru. Probably.
Now, one of the reasons we wanted to get it out to VDB because we sent this off to render at a farm, right? Using Omniverse Farm.
Yeah.
So, we're sending it off to, tens, hundreds of GPUs that are rendering totally different disparate frames. We wanted to make sure it was 100% the same across all those different machines.
Exactly. And if it's baked out, it's a lot easier to deal with cameras because it's going to be the same every time, or maybe each iteration you do, there might be just a little thing that changes here or there. But for your camera animation, knowing exactly where that smoke's going to be is really important. Plus the way it interacts with the light, it's amazing, dude. Okay. So how did we do that? Well, we under your flow simulate here, you have a nano VDB export, and what you need to do. Oh, maybe I should talk about that too. Yeah. Okay. So for the to actually create the flow, let's go back a step. So what you need to do is create a cube. And I created my cube here. Pardon my awful stage discipline here. But anyway, I created a cube. It's not volume cube because that's hidden. It's another cube. Probably just called it cube. I don't know. I could just select it. Select it. Huh. You know, when I'm working normally, I can't not select it. I have to hide it half the time, but whatever. Okay, anyway, it's in here. Let's just say it's volume cube. And come on, Tyner. Dane's here watching and everything.
Yeah, what are
All
you trying to do? You trying to unhide it?
No, yeah. I'm just trying to find where the stupid thing is. But it's going to be the one with...
Well, according to your transforms, it's at 0, 0, 0.
There it is. It's that one. Oh, I know why that is. All right. So there it is. Okay. Thanks. So anyway, you create a volume material, first of all, and you create your cube, of course, and you make sure that when you create your cube, this primvars is volume is selected, and then you go ahead and right-click on it and go create materials, and then omni-volume density. And when you do that, is it in here? No. Oh, it's in here. No. Okay, I gotta do this again. How embarrassing. Volume. And when you do that, you're gonna select it and you're gonna see this. So you need to, and you're good there. Actually, yeah, you're good. So then you come back, and once that's all done, and you drop into your flow simulate and select the nano VDB render. Make sure you select your readback directory. Now mine is pushing back to my C drive. You can store these on your Nucleus server, which again is good for collaboration and rendering. If you're going to render on a farm or something, then you're definitely going to want those stored on your Nucleus server because they will collect, which is great, and send those out. And then you're going to want the readback material as well. So you would just specify your volume material as your readback material. As you can see, there it is, by adding the target there. And the defaults are going to be okay, enabled. You're definitely going to want it to be enabled. What you're going to be really super careful about, which burned me like 3 times, is this readback clear on start, because that will save in that state. And I think Andrew's fixing this, but it'll save in that state. So let's say you have it perfect the way you want, and you want to show people, and you open it up and you go watch, and you press the space bar, and that readback clear on start is enabled. It's going to delete all the VDBs that you just baked out from the directory and re-record them. So
Dave, so this prim takes care of the export, and it will read it for once it's been exported?
Yes, it exports it out, and it creates the VDB sequence that pushes back into this volume density material. Yep. Yep. And so once you have that, then you're good to go, and you can take that anywhere with you once that's baked out. And so here's this awesome stage that Josh and Max and a bunch of other people worked on, which is the looks familiar from the demo here, but take off, and you can see down here it's reading the VDBs, and we have our skid marks down there. We have the VDB volume material, which I can now select at some point. I should show you the density here. Volume. Okay, it's gonna be that one. And yeah, so the density scale, you can play with the density scale, make it super thick. You can change, the color to be like this cool green or whatever you want. I think I tried to just tint it blue just a little bit, but
good for Halloween.
Yeah. So you have a lot of control over that, and this was just such a fun project to work on, man. I gotta tell you.
How much like driving the local supermarket did you need to do to test this out? Like doing donuts in real life?
Oh, so much, Josh.
Yeah, you got to capture some real world data.
I should have. Yeah, no, I should have.
Get the minivan and start doing donuts.
Minivan.
How many tires did you go through?
Yeah, well, they're hurting.
I actually don't know if Dave has a minivan, but I just really want to picture him driving around like a wood paneled minivan. Just rolling.
With a wizard painting on the side.
Definitely.
I mean, it's an Audi Q7, but it's kind of like a minivan.
I just got a picture of if you just driving in a supermarket doing donuts, eating donuts, just going totally meta on it. Yeah, dad joke. Sorry about that.
So,
man, I gotta say, one thing that I loved with, when you have a lot of attributes that you're playing with, I see that you had a lot of stuff, attributes to play with there on your fluid sim. I love the blue box showing like you have actually modified this, and clicking the blue box come back to default. That is such an awesome feature. Everything should have that in life.
And it's amazing that we can just do this and make it work and never leave create to do it. We do need to make it a little less complex because there are so many settings that you can adjust and play with. I mean, it's great because it gives you a lot of control too, but this particular workflow could be simplified, and we're working with Andrew to simplify it a little bit. But
that's incredible, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, that was my part of this, and it was really fun. And
that looks like it'd be a fun sample to give to our customers.
Absolutely, Dane.
Yeah, I think they'd like that. Presents.
I'm gonna write you a Jira task right now.
All right, sweet. Well, and then I took that since we're already over, and there's this awesome LA River model that's on TurboSquid that I downloaded a while ago, and I just grabbed that, and that's what the screenshot is for the advertisement of this demo was that LA River. But all I had to do was grab the car with all the stuff in it layer and drop it into the LA River layer, and then here in mere seconds. Like, you will not even notice the amount of time that has passed since I opened the stage to when it opens.
Fast as your minivan too, isn't it? Yeah.
Anyway, it's
Dave
opening.
going to Florida.
Oh no, this is the other one.
What did you do? What did you do?
No wonder it was taking long.
Yeah.
Iron Giant.
This has a
giant mech running through a wall or the bridge, right?
That's like the local Rickroll is that you open a stage and the mech's in there. It takes forever to load.
Yeah, let's see what happens.
Someone gotcha.
Does he walk and then it might be kicking off. Yeah, anyway. The bridge goes. But anyway, whatever. I'll stop
now
it there.
I want to see it.
No, you don't. You don't want me to come over here and. Oh yeah, see, that's no good.
The car is down there.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was still learning.
We're doing it live.
Well, where are you?
Do it live.
Everything that's going on not in the frame.
Ooh, there you go. That's
Okay.
There it is.
Nice.
Sound effects.
Just a little. It's still loading materials, so it's chugging kind of.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
And what, you're gonna have the car down there doing donuts? All those things coming at it?
Well, the thing is like chasing the car.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Nice.
Yeah. So,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
it was, yeah, I just had a night to work on it, and then that was it. But I used TyFlow actually to make this. I wanted to learn TyFlow, so I started using that and exported that as Olympic. And Olympic just drops right into Create, in case you don't know. Yeah, this is a big stage. And I don't have my ground plane set properly. Yeah. But I mean, as you can gather, there is a whole ton of stuff happening in this stage. So anyway, no. Oh yeah, that was a good one. Get there. Yeah.
It's a good scale shot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Well, except for that giant tree back there. Never mind
It's
that.
a very big
You don't-
tree.
All right, man. That's all I got, guys. So thank you very much.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live stream. I know everybody had a good time, and we've got some comments of people enjoying enjoying all of that. So thank you, everyone that worked on a remix. If you haven't checked it out, it's you can actually launch the app right now. Go to I have a link to it on the bottom of your screen. You should see a link to it, but go to Omniverse and look up Rimac, and you just hit the launch button and you can load up this app. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Maddie, for chiming in. Send well wishes over to Edmar, who is, recovering from COVID. So hopefully he'll be back next week. I hope. And we love you, Edmar, and we're wishing you well over here.
Well, Edmar.
All right, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Party
Thank
on.
you.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.